Ahoy! So the New World Open Beta is live, and there was a massive stealth change. Stealth change in this case meaning not a change to stealth, but a change that wasn't announced in the Open Beta patch notes, but is actually in the game. There are quite a few of those, but this one in particular stands out because it's about stamina regeneration. There are multiple drastic changes to this that actually fundamentally change how you fight in New World, and they didn't mention them at all. I'd like to thank Red Knight 972 for being the first one to point this out to me. First, let's have a look at the mechanic in game and see how much has actually changed in detail with some examples, and then also have a look at some combat scenarios after. So, if you just dashed once or blocked an attack in game on the previous patch, your stamina would recover relatively slowly afterwards. Now, on the new patch, if you use any sort of dash or dodge or block that drains your stamina will actually recover much faster. You can see a quick example here. We'll measure by how much it has increased later on. Now, in the previous closed beta, what would happen if you drained your stamina was that you couldn't dodge for a while obviously, but your stamina would recover much quicker. Have a look at the stamina recovery from 0 stamina now. That is definitely not the same speed of recovery that we had in the closed beta. Additionally, there is another component that I would argue is even more important. Have a very close look at the movement speed of the character. As long as your stamina is drained, your movement speed is actually decreased slightly. It is not super noticeable at first. I don't know how much this decrease actually is, maybe like 10% or something. But you can see a difference the moment that the stamina bar is full. You can even notice this when you cover your stamina bar, so there is most definitely a difference in speed along with the drained stamina. On the previous patch, the most efficient strategy was often to drain your stamina fully, ideally with 3 dodge rolls, blah blah blah. I'm not going to get into all that in detail. But the point is that it was good to have an empty stamina bar in order to recover stamina quicker and have more overall stamina over time. The question is now if with these changes that is still advisable at all or how you should manage your stamina. In order to fully understand that, we need to look at some examples and actually measure some things. So let's do that. The first thing that we have here is the stamina regeneration when not draining your stamina. On the left side you see the current version from the open beta, and on the right side you see the old version from the closed beta. What you can quickly see here is that the stamina regeneration is definitely significantly quicker. What is unchanged, and that is the case for all scenarios afterwards as well, is the duration it takes for the regeneration to kick in. So from the moment your stamina is drained to the moment you actually get some stamina back. That remains entirely the same, that hasn't changed at all between the patches, but the regeneration itself that follows afterwards has been changed significantly. By how much? Well, in this case, if we look at this example, on the left side we are going from 60 stamina to 86 stamina. In other words, a 26 stamina increase. In the same time frame, starting from the same recovery point, on the old patch we would go from 50 stamina to 58 stamina, so an 8 stamina increase. In other words, including minor mismeasurements or inconsistencies in the displays in-game, the stamina regeneration while not at full stamina is at least 3 times as much as on the previous patch. In order to fully recover our stamina from a single dodge, so from 60 to 100 stamina, it takes 1.13 seconds. Quick important note here, the editing software that I use makes it so that 1.6 seconds would be 2 seconds. It uses an interval of 60 below a second as well, which doesn't really make sense to me, but that's just how it is. So this is roughly 1 second and 1/4 of a second. But that number in a vacuum doesn't really tell us all that much. We need to look at more examples of what really happens. Next, I measured how long it takes for the stamina to recover when it's fully drained. Again, left side is a new patch, right side is the old patch. Once again, you can see that the delay until the recovery kicks in is exactly the same, but the stamina recovers much slower on the new patch than on the old patch. By the time the stamina was completely back to 100 and usable on the old patch, the stamina on the new patch is only at 57. Or to put it in numbers, on the old patch it took 142 or 1 2/3 of a second to reach maximum stamina, and on the new patch it now takes 259 or pretty much 3 seconds to reach full stamina. And again, on the new patch, during this time you're also slowed a little bit. Next, let's look at the stamina recovery when not fully drained on the new patch versus fully drained recovery on the old patch. Before we do that, a quick reminder, if you enjoyed the video so far, please consider subscribing and clicking the bell so you get notified of other upcoming videos. And if you share this information, you would really help me out if you share the video along with it. I know it's gonna go around, so it would be great if in that context you tell other people where it came from. So, now on the left side we have a dodge on the new patch with the stamina recovery kicking in without the stamina being fully drained, and on the right side we have the scenario from the old patch with the stamina being fully drained. In both cases the stamina recovery looks pretty quick, but on the old patch it is still quicker. By how much? In the time it takes you to recover 40 stamina while it's not drained on the new patch, you would recover 70 stamina while it's fully drained on the old patch. And that brings us to an important question. Is it still worth draining your stamina at all? And in order to find that out, we have to look at the stamina recovery only on the new patch, now that we know how it works. On the left side we have the stamina recovery from a single dodge, on the right side we have the stamina recovery when fully draining our stamina. Once again, the delay between using a dodge and until your stamina recovery kicks in is exactly the same in both scenarios. And you know what's also the same? The stamina recovery. By the time we've recovered 40 stamina in the scenario where we only use one dodge from 60 to 100, we have recovered exactly 40 stamina from fully drained stamina as well. So the recovery rate of stamina is entirely unchanged now if you fully drain your stamina. That means there is no longer any direct benefit in doing so. Quite the opposite, you actually get slowed down and you don't have the option to dodge for a while. So you want to stay above 0 stamina in almost all situations now. Obviously, sometimes you cannot avoid going to 0 stamina because you might have to dodge a specific attack, you might have to catch up to someone in a particular moment, and that's still fine. But generally speaking, in most situations you want to try and leave some stamina in the tank so you don't get slowed down. The implications of this are huge in a variety of ways. This is, for example, relevant for tanking, where putting your shield down in between will just give you much more stamina back now. It may be somewhat relevant for blocking in large-scale PvP, but that's probably the area where it's least important of all. But then in small-scale PvP or in duels, it is a massive difference in playstyles. For example, most dodge roll users would previously dodge and then wait a tiny bit and then double dodge, so they have a triple dodge in total and then get quick recovery afterwards. That will probably no longer be the case, and instead we'll see a dodge, a slight delay in another dodge, and then they leave the rest in the tank so that they have the stamina to use it at a later point. Similarly, the sticking power of medium dodge users is massively increased. You can very easily get away with what you see in the background right now, kind of just chaining dodges between your attacks very frequently because they recover so quickly and you hardly run out of stamina due to the high recovery rate, and you can stick to enemies like glue. And this is not just the case for the Great Axe, which was primarily notorious for that before. Shoutouts to Rocky Lobster for helping me with these tests, by the way. So we tried that with a variety of different weapons, and the weapons that have a forward lunge are incredibly effective with this. That is, for example, the sword as well, and it's the hatchet as well. The rapier can do it to some extent too, though not quite as well. On the other hand, kiting combat styles should get a massive viability increase to this as well. With how quickly stamina regenerates, if you time it right, you can essentially dodge melee basic attacks almost forever. Every time there's a Great Axe swing, you just dodge, and then in the time frame until the next swing, your stamina will have almost recovered to the same point. Obviously, I couldn't test all of this yet, but I think in many ways we'll see much more dodge and also a little bit more block-heavy combat in the future. And I couldn't even try the most important thing yet, which is the 150 dexterity perk. This perk, if you're unfamiliar with it, reduces your dodging cost by 10 stamina. Combining that with the higher regeneration rate and also some other dodging perks that you can get from weapons should mean that some characters will be able to just dodge constantly, really. I'll definitely try and level up enough to get to 150 dex just to try that out because I'm super curious about it. Personally, I think the new stamina regeneration system is better than the old one because it doesn't reward you for wasting your stamina. But on the other hand, I feel like the current regeneration rates may just be a little bit too high and we may end up having very dancey combat from now on. Dark Souls says hello, I guess. So I sacrificed quite a few hours of beta playtime to bring this info in much detail as possible, as quickly as possible. If you'd like to reward me for this little sacrifice, feel free to click subscribe, maybe the bell, maybe also share the video with your friends and or rewatch the video because that's what the algorithm wants these days. I will be live streaming for the rest of the day right after this video goes up on Twitch TV/DukeSloth, so if you'd like to stop by there, if you have any more questions about this, feel free to do that, I'll be on all day. With that, thank you very much for watching and I hope to see you for the next one soon. DukeSloth, out.